Hello, konnichiwa. That's Japanese for hello, I guess. And the Japanese I used to know and taught said Ohayo gozaimasu. I just remember, I kept thinking Ohio, because we have a state here called Ohio. So konnichiwa, Ohayo gozaimasu. Or there's a U, gozaimasu? I'm not sure. Good morning, hello. So this Gideon sketchbook, let's finish it up. So it's gotten very violent. There's a war. Sorry. Against Zeba and Zalmunna. 120,000 soldiers die. They attack each other. Midianites panic. They get information from a man of Succoth. And Gideon was mad and taught the men of Succoth a lesson with briars. And then he went to the Tower of Penuel and killed the men in the city. So I just want to address that. It's gotten kind of violent. So I wrote these notes here. Was it so violent because of the history of the time back then? 5,000 years ago? Violent time. Was Gideon called to do this? Did he do it on his own? Did the Spirit lead him? Or was this God's holiness and he cannot tolerate sin, and his plan is for redemption from sin, and his holiness cannot stand any sin. So the Old Testament gets a little violent, but hopefully we can see God's good plan for mankind overall and redemption in Jesus. Judges 8:17. Then he tore down the tower of Penuel, and killed the men of the city. Gideon tore down the tower. And he said to Zeba and Zalmunna, "What kind of men were they whom you killed at Tabor? What were the men like, Gideon and the two kings, Zeba and Zalmunna?" So they answered, "As you are, so were they. Like Gideon, so were they. Each one resembled the son of a king. They were each like royalty, like Gideon." Then he tore down the tower of Penuel and killed the men of the city. And he said to Zeba and Zalmunna, "What kind of men were they whom you killed at Tabor? So they answered, "As you are, so were they. Each one resembled the son of a king." Judges 8:19. Judges. Then he said, "They were my brothers, Gideon and his brothers, the sons of my mother, their mother. As the Lord lives, Gideon swears by the living God, if you had let them live, you can live. Zeba and Zalmunna let the Gideon's brothers live. You didn't do this. If you did this, I would not. If you had let them live, I would not kill you. If you didn't kill Gideon's brothers, then Gideon wouldn't kill you." Let's read it again. Then he said, "They were my brothers, the sons of my mother. As the Lord lives, if you had let them live, I would not kill you." Judges 8:20. And he said to Jether, his firstborn, Gideon's firstborn son, "Rise, kill them. Get up, Jether. Son, go kill them." Zeba and Zalmunna. But the youth would not draw his sword, for he was afraid because he was still a youth. Jether was afraid. He was too young to draw the sword. Let's read it again. And he said to Jether, his firstborn, "Rise, kill them." But the youth would not draw his sword, for he was afraid because he was still a youth. Judges 8:22. Then the men of Israel said to Gideon, "Rule over us, both you and your son, and your grandson also." Gideon's son, Gideon's grandson. "For you have delivered us from the hand of Midian." Okay, what happened to the death of Zalmunna? Oh my goodness, I'm missing a page here. So I think Gideon went ahead and killed Zalmunna. I Gotta check my original copies. Then the men of Israel said to Gideon, "Rule over us, both you and your son and your grandson also, for you have delivered us from the hand of Midian. Gideon rescued the Israelites from the Midianites. You rescued us from the hand of Midian." I guess Midian means the city. The hand of the city of Midian. "Gideon, be our ruler, please." Judges 8:23. But Gideon said to them, "I will not rule over you, nor shall my son rule over you." We won't rule over you. The Lord shall rule over you. Amen. Not Gideon, not his son, but God. Only the Lord will rule over you. So I guess I didn't do faces on these guys. I wrote, how did they react? Maybe you could draw their faces. Smiley faces or upset faces. But Gideon said to them, "I will not rule over you, nor shall my son rule over you. The Lord shall rule over you." Hopefully they were so happy. Then Gideon said to them, "I would like to make a request of you, that each of you would give me the earrings from the plunder. Israelites, please do something for me. Give Gideon the earrings from the fallen enemy." Then Gideon said to them, "I would like to make a request of you, that each of you would give me the earrings from the plunder." Plunder is things that they've stolen or received from the enemy. Kind of like loot, L-O-O-T. Judges 8:24. For they had golden earrings because they were Ishmaelites. Gold, 14 carats. It was the custom of the enemy to wear earrings, the Ishmaelites. So they answered, "We will gladly give them," Gideon and the Israelites. And they spread out a garment. The Israelites smoothed out a piece of clothing on the ground, and each man threw it into it, the earrings from his plunder. They threw the golden earrings of the Ishmaelites onto the garment. Let's read that again. For they had golden earrings because they were Ishmaelites. So they answered, "We will gladly give them." And they spread out a garment, and each man threw into it the earrings from his plunder. Judges 8:26. Now the weight of the gold earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold. The weight of the earrings was 1,700 shekels of gold, which is around 75 pounds of gold. Which was around 75 pounds of gold. Besides the crescent ornaments and pendants, types of jewelry. So they're getting all the plunder and the gold. Now the weight of the Midianites. Now the weight of the gold earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold. Besides the crescent ornaments, the pendants, Judges 8:26, and purple robes, which were on the king of Midian. The king's purple robes. You can color that. And besides, you can color anything. And besides the chains that were around their camels' necks. And purple robes which were on the kings of Midian. And besides the chains that were around their camels' necks. And Judges 8:27. Then Gideon made it into an ephod. An ephod is a type of apron worn by the Jewish high priest. And set it up in the city Orpha. Gideon set up the ephod in Orpha. I guess on display. And all Israel played the harlot with it there. I think they started worshiping it. The Israelites left God and chased the ephod like adultery. It became a snare to Gideon and to his house. It was like a trap for Gideon and his household. Then Gideon made it into an ephod and set it up in his city Orpha. And all Israel played the harlot with it there. It became a snare to Gideon and to his house. Judges 8:28. Thus Midian was subdued before the children of Israel, so that they lifted their head no more. The Midianites were defeated. Midian did not raise its head again. And the country was quiet for 40 years in the days of Gideon. 10, 20, 30, 40. 40 years of peace under Gideon. Then Jerubbaal, the son of Joash, went and dwelt in his own house. So Gideon went home to his own house. I guess he retired. I'm not sure. Thus Midian was subdued before the children of Israel, so that they lifted their heads no more. And the country was quiet for 40 years in the days of Gideon. Then Jerubbaal, the son of Joash, went and dwelt in his own home. Gideon 8:7. Let's finish this up. Gideon had 70 sons who were his own offspring. Gideon had 70 sons, and he had many wives. Gideon had many wives, and his concubine, like a girlfriend, who was in Shechem, also bore him a son whose name he called Abimelech. His name will be Abimelech, said Gideon. Gideon had 70 sons who were his own offspring, for he had many wives, and his concubine who was in Shechem also bore him a son whose name he called Abimelech. Judges 8:32. Now Gideon, the son of Joash, died at a good old age. Gideon died when he was very old, and was buried in the tomb of Joash, his father, in Ophrah of the Abiezerites. Joash's tomb, he was buried in his father's tomb in Ophrah. So it was, as soon as Gideon was dead, that the children of Israel again played the harlot, became a girlfriend with the Baals, and made Baal birth their god. As soon as Gideon died, the Israelites pursued pagan gods, making Baal birth their god. Turned away from God. The Israelites leave God again. Judges 8:34. Then the children of Israel did not remember the Lord their God. Who is God? God, we don't remember. Who delivered them from the hands of all their enemies. God had rescued Israelites from their enemies on every side. God rescued the Israelites who had enemies surrounding them on all sides. And God had saved them, but they forgot. Thus the children of Israel did not remember the Lord their God, who delivered them from the hands of all their enemies on every side. Nor did they, Judges 8:35, nor did they show kindness to the house of Jerubbaal, Gideon, in accordance with the good he had done for Israel. No kindness from the Israelites to Gideon's family. No kindness for the house of Gideon, in accordance because of the good he had done for Gideon. The good Gideon did for Israel, but nothing was returned. Nor did they show kindness to the house of Jerubbaal in accordance with the good he had done for Israel. The end. Good job.